In this series of videos, I'd like to show you how to use the library databases in Questia to get correct MLA citation information for a works cited page or an annotated bibliography. I also want to show you some resources for creating these entries manually in the event you're given permission by your instructor to use books, websites outside of databases, or other sources like personal interviews. In the online classes, only database sources are acceptable for the final research paper unless you get permission from your instructor in advance for other sources. But you do have permission to use your TED Talk from your analysis paper as a source. So let's start by reviewing how we make the MLA citation for a TED Talk. You can use this to create your first annotated bibliography submission, as well as to create the works cited page for that analysis paper. So here is a TED Talk on driverless vehicles. I'm going to use the handy MLA template document linked in your course in Module 6, Lesson 2 to capture the information I need to make my works cited entry. Here's that practice template. Now notice that the MLA template is set up so that each piece of the entry has a punctuation mark after it. Some, like the author one, have a period. Others have a comma. Basically, the author and the title get a period. After that, the containers each get a period, while the elements within each container get commas. Here's container 1. You can see at the end of the container itself there's a period. The same with container 2. Now you can read more about the concept of containers in your textbook a little bit later in the course. In this case, the TED website itself contains this talk and a lot of others as well, so it's a container for our purposes. I'm going to capture all the information that I can, and then I'm going to string it together in this order on my annotated bibliography or my works cited page, inserting the correct punctuation mark as I go, like this. So here is the website. I need to find several things here. One of the things I need to find is who the speaker is, so that's my author. I'm going to need to find the title. I'm going to need to find the date it was filmed. I've got the website already, which is a container. I'm going to capture this TED at UPS. This is kind of like the publisher in this case. So I'm going to gather all of that information, and then I'm going to come over here, and this is what I'll end up with. So I've grabbed the author's name, last name first. So it's Kabaj, Wanis. The title of the source, I'm going to put quotation marks around it. The title of my container, TED Ideas Worth Spreading, comma, publication date, the publisher here, and then my location is going to be the web address. And we basically are going to just be, and notice that for certain elements that don't apply, I'm just leaving them blank. I just skip them. And also note that for a website, MLA really wants you to remove the HTTP S in front of it, so you just start with www. I won't take off for that either way. They also, one thing that you need whenever you have a web address like this, you're going to need to put the access date after it if it's something that might change frequently. In databases it doesn't change, so you can leave it off, but for something like this from a website like a TED Talk, you're going to put your access date and you'll do it like this, and that'll be part of your location. Now from here, we basically are going to assemble all of these elements that I've grabbed and put the punctuation after it, and it's going to look like this. For the this is what an MLA citation would be. Now one thing that you'll have to do probably is change the line spacing. You'll do that here with you're going to double space it. You're also going to make your line spacing options, and you're going to use special hanging to make this the hanging indent that you need. Also, you would want to make the spacing before and after be 0 if it's not in your version of Word. Once you've done all of those things, move this over a little bit, you basically click OK, and now it's set up. And then the next thing that you would do from here is just type your annotations in the annotated bibliography. Now notice one thing you do need to do too is, since the TED website is a container, you need to italicize it. That's not one thing that is going to be on your thing otherwise. Now for a book, you pretty much do the same thing. You collect the author, the title in italics, the publisher, and the date published. You don't need the place anymore unless it's a really old book where the London publication might be quite different from the New York one, for instance. You might need the page numbers for your location if you're only citing an article or a chapter in a longer book. Basically, what I would suggest that you do for any kinds of information on this is go to Purdue OWL and look at the MLA information that is here. You've got a lot of different examples for different types of sources and the basic rules for how you do this. You can also actually go to the annotated bibliography page itself on Purdue OWL and get more information about how you do annotated bibliographies. Now finally, if you know someone who has personal information that you want to use in your research, ask your professor for permission to interview them and explain to your professor what that person knows that you think you might be able to use. If you get permission from an interview, here's how you would cite that. It's actually pretty simple. It's basically the person's last name, their first name, period, personal interview, period, and the date you interviewed them. If you did it by email, you might substitute email interview up here, or phone interview if it was conducted that way. As always, if you have any questions about your research, I encourage you to contact your professor or your class librarian, or visit your local community or campus library and talk to a reference librarian in person. Enjoy your research, and thanks for watching.